actors. It's very layered.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like there's a lot of relentless stuff going on in here. Like it was multiple viewings, but at a point where I was even going like, man, I never even saw that. Like I didn't realize that Simone was doing that in the background and this is going on, so it's fun.
Well, first I want to say, okay, so you've done movies that are so beloved. Things like Hairspray and Hocus Pocus and lots of, yes, give it up.
Yes.
And, but does anything prepare you for working with this many drag queens?
Oh, fuck no. No, yeah. I mean, I had done 3 guest judging stints on Drag Race.
We saw.
And so I had worked with drag queens, but what I gleaned from that working with them was how hard they work and how quick they work and how easy it is to pivot with them. And taking this opportunity to celebrate them and put them on the big screen was really exciting to me. I mean, we shot this in 19 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was 19 days. It was crazy, you guys. It was nuts.
That sounds like a scheduling nightmare because you had so many cameos.
All the cameos, yeah. I mean, basically the schedule ended up kind of falling together because of them. And they only shot half a day each. So, and then like those musical numbers I shot in like 2.5 hours each.
What is typical? Like, for example, for a Hairspray musical number?
Hairspray, the whole Miss Teenage Hairspray, You Can't Stop the Beat took 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah. 9 to 11. It was
So 9 to 11
between 9
days
and 11,
versus
yeah.
several hours.
Between 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I only had 2 weeks to prepare this. So it was nuts. When I came down and saw the train for the first time, they were like, "Are you excited?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I go down to the stage, and it was just a rectangular plywood box. And there was no seats or anything in it, and no paint, and I was like, well, where is everything? I'm shooting this in like a week and a half. They're like, it'll be done. How do you like it? I was like, what do you mean, how do I like it? I'm looking at a box.
And then practical versus green screen and all
and
that.
then, well, then I said, what is this? And they said, it's Coach. And I was like, okay, great. Okay, can I see first class? And they said, this is also first class. So they were like, we didn't tell you, we can't afford both cars. Okay, this is that movie. And so it had a real DIY approach, but to that end, everybody who was in the movie got that spirit, and everybody participated in that way, and was really, really into working the way that we had to work to make this movie work,
What attracted you to the material and to the disaster movie genre?
Well, look, because I am me, and I've made all these movies, and because I told those stories in those movies, they're all pretty queer-coded, but I had never made anything specifically for the community. And I felt like I sort of had been ashamed of that for a while. Happy Pride, everybody.
Yeah.
Speaking of shame, Happy Pride.
Yes.
And, by the way, the reason that we're having this screening here, and thank you to the Mary Pickford and to you guys for showing up and everybody for showing up, is because it was important for me to come down and show my mom. And my mom is here.
Yay!
Yay!
Wave to us.
And when I struggled in my youth, my parents threw me out of the closet, to be perfectly honest. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, we just want you to know we love you. You're this artsy, great kid, and we want you to be free. And if you're gay, you're gay. If you're not, you're not. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have a girlfriend. And they were, the second that suddenly I'm getting books in the mail called Now That We Know. And it's like, and so my parent, I had the opportunity to come out into so much love. And my mom has been my greatest supporter as a filmmaker, as a queer man, and I'm just so blessed to have that much love and support in my life, because that is not everybody's story. Yeah, because that's not everybody's story. And by the way, it's why I'm sitting here right now, like doing this to you. And to a certain extent, why I ended up making this movie. I know, Mom, you wanted me to make more something serious like The Boys in the Band and something smarter, but this is what fucking happened. Sorry. I do better when I'm just like, making people laugh. Like I love making people laugh, and we need to laugh more now than ever. I'm so happy you took 90 minutes to just shut your brain off and ignore the mishigas out there to just check out and laugh together in a room full of people. And it's too chaotic and too challenging out there. So being able to take this time, that is the whole reason why this movie exists. It was by design only to be that. I never was trying to do anything more than that. Other than to do something that kind of hasn't been done before, is to do a studio wide-ish release comedy with 7, 8 drag queens up front.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting that, yes, the film is meant to be silly.
It's never been done.
Yes, but it's meant to be silly fun, but whenever you represent, you are already achieving something. I mean, who would have been this for you growing up? Who would have been your RuPaul, and what influence would this have been that made you, a queer influence in film or TV?
I literally just looked at my mom and I was like, "What, Paul Lynn? I don't know." But
There are a lot of us, yes.
yeah, I mean, it was people like that, Rip Taylor, Rip Taylor. I mean, there wasn't a lot. It's funny that you bring up that I brought up Paul Lynn. Which is not a reference that, or maybe this audience would know Paul Lynn.
We know. Yeah, we know.
But he was on Bewitched a lot, and I was obsessed with Bewitched, and then fantasy and all of that, and on Hollywood Squares, and also in Bye Bye Birdie, which was sort of one of my favorite musicals when I was a kid, and him singing Kids with his wife and family going, "Kids, find it out what's about," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're straight." Like, I don't need to see that sex tape, but it was, I had very few people to look to. I don't remember having any gay men in my life. I think my mom had some gay friend, like bisexual friend, actually. You don't need to chime it up. But I didn't have a lot of queer role models, but I had really strong women who were really supportive of the fact that I loved musical theater, that I loved creating, that I loved, theater, all of that. I had a lot of strong women around me who were super into that, and one thing led to another. Here I am.
And then you've made these iconic films, so it's great. Was there an early? Where did you grow up, by the way? Because you were talking about.
On the mean streets of Brentwood, LA. It was a tough town.
It still is.
Murder everywhere.
There were a couple.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Famously. Like I said, the mean streets of Brentwood.
What was the first disaster movie you ever saw?
Oh hell, I loved them all. Like I was really into the whole Irwin Allen phase. Like Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno, Airport, all of the airports, 73, 75, like all of them, anything with Ava Gardner.
Or Charo.
Charo, of course. Is
Charo.
The Concord one, yeah.
By the way, the story about Charo in this, that is the sweetest. It was a little painful, but it became clear when she got to set on the day that on the few days that she was shooting that her reps or somebody did not communicate with her that she was in a movie. And she thought, I think she was coming to do an episode of Drag Race and didn't realize she had lines and she was very confused about what was happening and why I'd call action, and then Rachel Bloom would say a line, and then everything would stop, and she would just be looking at Rachel, and I would just be standing next to the camera and go "And Charo, now you say," and she'd look at me, she goes, "What?" And I say, "You say your line, what your line is." She said, "What's my line?" And I was just like, "You have love." And then Rachel would pull out her script and be like, "You say that," and then Charo would look at her, she goes, "Why do I say that?" It was, by the way, what a miracle that woman is to have avoided actually having a grasp on the English language for like 70 years.
Yes.
Like, to have somehow managed to be like, no, I don't need that. That part we're gonna just put, we're not gonna do that. The whole, that.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hell no. We were all so blessed to have her there. We loved having her there. And put a guitar in that woman's hands. Hello. It is like, that was, she was in there playing the guitar and she's in there flamenco and that was her dancing. And, she's the only person I know who is on record, there must be more, but is on record as having legally changed her birth age. Her birth certificate, she had her birth certificate changed. Legally. You don't have to do much digging on that one because we were all going like, how old is she? And then when it said like, she's 65, I was like, I'm 65. Like,
I once interviewed her for a TV Guide story about TV in the 70s, and again, I wasn't sure what she was saying with her accent, and I was on the phone, but I swear she was trying to tell me she was a teenager when she was on the show, and I'm like, no, you weren't.
No, it was like when she was 25, she changed her age to 15. I've read.
So she's considerably younger than RuPaul, is what we've learned.
Well, speaking of Charo and Rue, obviously we know Rue is going to be in a main role in a movie made by World of Wonder or whatever, but how did the other queens playing the attendants get chosen and then the cameos?
Most of them had auditioned. The queens auditioned. Ginger, I had seen do, she had just won her season, but that wasn't the reason why I cast her. I had seen her in, my best friend made a movie called Dumplin' that she was in, and she was great in it. And then we used her in Hocus Pocus too. So I had a real familiarity with Ginger, and I knew how she was on set and how great that was. And also I'd seen her do all those seasons of Drag Race. And then in the script, I think one version of the script actually said a Ginger Minge type. And so I sort of looked at everybody, I was like, I guess we should just go to Ginger. Like, I mean, that seems like the right thing to do. And I had no doubt she could handle it. Now, what was interesting is I made all the rest of them audition. There was a lot of girls. There's been 790 drag queens who've walked through the doors of the global Drag Race franchise. So at this point, I think in the 300 to 400 in the US alone. And so I had to consider a lot of girls. And when Juju auditioned, it felt just right. I had no idea that Juju and Ginger were good friends. They were like really good friends, close. And to me, they're the beating heart of the movie. So that relationship, that more Rami and Michelle storyline is sort of what separates us from most satires like this, I think. And they're the heart. So having them in there was great, but the rest of the girls auditioned. Everybody auditioned. I knew that there was a place, who did not, Latrice didn't audition. Latrice did an episode of AJ and the Queen where I was like, give that woman an Emmy. Like, I need Latrice in this movie. She's so freaking brilliant. And so I just basically begged her, and her schedule was really hard. And she had a fucked up schedule because she was in so many places. She was the only one who kept having to really come back all the time. And it was really, that was rough. But she was great,
Do you think people will be surprised at how nice the really good drag queens are? Because generally speaking, they do look out for each other, and they
Very much
are
so.
kind of sweet to be around.
Yeah, I mean, my experience of drag queens is that they're, a lot of that is that there is their shtick and their act. I think back in the days, pre-Drag Race, I think there was a lot more acidity to the community before. I mean, Drag Race brought drag into the daylight, and it also gave huge careers to so many of these people who've been through it, and given them so much platform. And I think that has largely softened those edges, and now, the reason why people and what drag queens were doing prior to Drag Race versus how they are now, it's like you can't, swing a cat and you're not hitting a drag queen, I mean, it's like, it's because the promise of having a different kind of like an internet revenue stream, popularity. Like, it's just a different game. I mean, I remember I watched a season, whatever season of Drag Race where Sugar and Spice were on, and I was like, they don't know what being a bar queen is. And it was, Mom, do you understand everything I'm saying? Because I know that this is, I saw Lisa Rinna on the screen of my mom, and I thought, oh, I don't know who that is. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was just really fun being in the trenches with them. And yes, I've directed Meryl Streep and Tom Cruise. It's true, and I did just finish a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and went straight into this, which is, I may be the only director who gets to claim that one. But but it was an adventure and completely worthwhile for me,
And us.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I mean, I hope that it entertains people. I hope it makes them laugh. I hope, seeing us sort of take the piss out of stuff now, being able to do these like sort of joke fests. I don't know if you even noted, but like we don't go after anyone. Like there's no drag jokes. There's no race jokes. There's no religious jokes that punches at anyone. I mean, and to make a comedy where you're not hitting at anybody is kind of like a weird needle to thread, but it
Maybe
was
Leah Michelle might have an issue. Yeah, but the 2020 Leah Michelle, 2026
she
Leah
does.
Michelle is
Yeah,
totally
she
over
wasn't in general.
Great,
Yeah.
yeah.
The cameo roles or the passenger roles are cast with people who are all so recognizable, so at the top of comedy, the hip kids. How did the word get out to them to do this movie?
My phone.
Oh,
Like
that's a
this
good
was all
Rolodex.
just about the myself and Randy Barbato, and we met with the casting directors, and they just presented us lists of potential people, and a lot of it was like, oh, we could call them, but it was like nobody who had to fly in. Like we couldn't afford to fly people in and stuff like that. So it was literally who's local, who's around. I will tell you, like Joel McHale and Paul Scheer weren't even in the movie until the day before they shot. Those roles didn't exist. And I turned, while we were shooting that opening commercial, I turned to the writers and I said, I'm feeling a little bit weird about the fact that the opening of the movie is gonna have 7 minutes of just drag queens, and that doesn't really represent what this whole movie is. And so will you please write some potential bits for straight dudes? And they were like, okay. And so they just wrote them up. And as they're writing them up, I'm on the phone with Joel going, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And Randy called Paul Scheer, Randy Barbato, one of the, heads of
Wonder
World
Guys,
Guys. And hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And it was like that. That's how we made the movie. It was really a labor of love. And but it weirdly doesn't feel as small and janky as it was,
It doesn't, but it's interesting hearing you say that, because when you think about where drag started, it was always queens improvising with what they had around the house, right? I mean, so it's in the spirit of the old drag.
Yeah, well, it's in the I'll tell you what it's in the spirit of. It was very much in the spirit of the Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland, let's do it in the barn with our friends, which is actually another movie on Pornhub. No, let's do it but it's like, let's make a play in the barn, and we're doing that. And that's what this felt like. But I think my belief is that they asked me to do this, and that I came in to make it feel bigger than that, because I was determined to not play drag as a joke or to use the drag as a wink. I just wanted them to be characters and let the movie be the joke. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they never break the fourth wall of drag, or that I'm a man or anything like that. You don't
No, I mean, I was even careful. I mean, there was a part time where I kept trying to not gender them, and then people kept referring to them like she and all of that, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's happening. But like in the bathroom scene in the beginning, which was the bathroom of World of Wonder, I was like literally in their offices, because we couldn't find anywhere else to shoot it. And then we had to add that line, like, weren't you just in here? But like, there's no gender markers on the door or anywhere around. And I guess I hadn't fully accepted that they were playing women at that point. I just wanted them to be characters, like I was holding on to that still. But I mean, like the press conference and the train headquarters were my office. That was like where we, like wardrobe's door was off to the side of that. Like that was just our office, and we put some lights in there and some, like, we rented some TV screens. Like that's how this, I can't. The leeches on the chair, somebody had lost the rubber leeches. Like we had really spent a bunch of money and bought some rubber leeches, you know, and we were all excited. And they came up to me that day and they're like, "We lost the leeches." I was like, "What do you mean you lost the leeches?" And I was like, "All right. Well, now what are we gonna do?" And so it's like, we ran to craft service, got some gummy worms, and dipped them in black paint and threw them on the chair, and those are the leeches. So it's like, you know, I mean, they never figured out. I'm the only one who laughs, and I'm fine with it at the brakes are fried thing, and then cutting to the thing.
Fried chicken or something.
Yeah, and I had wanted like them to build something that looked like the under part of a train with a deep fryer under it. And they just never got to it. They never did it. It was the last shot, and I was like, "Well, where's the thing?" And they're like, "Oops." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And so we just sawed like a plastic trash can in half, filled it with water, found some weird metal shit on the stage, pumped some water in there, and got a bunch of Kentucky Fried Chicken and threw it all over the thing. And I was like, "And that's a wrap." You know, and
it reads. I mean, you know.
And by the way, I produced the Oscars before, so when I tell you, I know what I'm doing. Like, this was crazy, but it harkened back to like me feeling super young and like just making shit up, and it was a very vibrant feeling.
And when you were saying before about needing comedy, I mean, having seen so many heavy movies that were in Oscar contention last year, I really was scratching my head thinking, with all we're going through, why are there not more drag comedies and rich people in trouble comedies and, you know, people in beautiful clothes doing bad things? You know, instead of things that are going to be so dark and so, you know.
We can have a separate conversation about the Academy, you know what I mean, and about the way that we assign importance and what is achievement versus what is non-achievement and all of that. It's a very, I mean, I completely respect, and obviously what I've done, part of it and all of that, but I do feel like the year that and this is kind of interesting, the year that I produced the show, I did a tribute to horror on it, and I did a big score suite with big images and, you know, clips from famous horror movies that we're all, you know, we all love and things like that. When the show was over, like the board, like they were mad at me for including that. And now I'm like, oh yeah, we're so upset about horror. It's literally paying for all of us to exist in the business now. It's literally, and was even then, the #1 revenue source in the industry. Oh, is it this weekend too? Well, I knew that A24's biggest opening, it was that, and I knew that it eclipsed the thing, but I thought you were saying another thing released, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Another thing came out that's like, and don't tell me he was 17 who directed this, like, you know.
The kid's 20, right?
The kid is 20, yeah, and everybody, and I actually want to see the movie, but people are like, well, it's not so much a movie as it is a vibe. And I was like, a vibe just made over $100 million at the box office? What the fuck? So, I don't know.
I hope this does really well, and I think it's gonna.
You and me both, sister.
Oh, wait, I wanted before.
I have how much room for improv was there? I mean, I know that obviously you had to fit puzzle pieces together tightly, so
Yeah.
it had to be very scripted, but did you have a chance to let people riff?
What happened, interestingly enough, was when I did, everybody ended up returning to the script because they thought it was funnier. And so the two people who sort of brought the most were Ginger and Juju. Did a little extra, like they came up with the boop boop boop, like they just did that on set, and I was like, that's cute, I'll keep that in. And they, in the sort of the invisible fight where they're pushing each other and all that across the train car, that had been scripted. They were across the train car, but the only thing that was there was the slap with the blood coming out. And they were like, can we try something? And I was like, oh, the girls are doing a bit, you know? And they did it, and it just made me giggle. And so I
The
said,
titty twister is hilarious.
the titty twister was very, very funny. And so I was like, well, keep it in. If I don't think it's funny, like I can always cut it out. You know, it's like that. But largely, like I do remember the first day of shooting was all the Oval Office stuff. It was 9.5 pages of Oval Office. And I remember because that was supposed to be, as scripted, it was this big, long Aaron Sorkin shot through the White House. And I kept saying like, well, how much White House are we gonna get? Like, what are they like? They were like, all we can afford is the office, and it was a long speech. And I was like, whew, well, what if we do this? What if they exit the Oval Office and suddenly they're on stage still doing the speech, and you just see like people on the crew diving for cover, trying to get away from the camera. I thought that would be really, really funny. And then people were like, okay, we'll look into that. And they said, we don't have enough money to buy enough lights to light the whole stage. And so, or to rent enough lights. And so I just looked and I went, so all I have is the Oval Office. And they said, yeah. And I was like, okay, I want I said to the prop guy, just give me the stupidest shit you can find. Just give me a Yahtzee thing and a this and a that. And the next thing I do, and it was me who did the top secret, bottom secret, software secret, thing like that. That was a me joke. And I just said, I'm just gonna have them walk in a circle around the thing. But in order to get all the shit and Bruce's arms, Matt had to extend it a little bit, and so I think he brought in like the Real Housewives of Potomac, the Real Housewives of like, so there was a little bit of stuff, but it wasn't significant. Like the fact that I can name it tells you how little of it there was.
Since you mentioned Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Cruise, not Hanks.
Tom Cruise.
I've never directed Tom Hanks, and that makes me sad.
Tom Cruise, I'm sorry. What was directing RuPaul like?
Fantastic. I had done, I choreographed him in 1994. He was great to work with them. Then I directed an episode of AJ and the Queen. Michael Patrick King and Rue called and said like, hey, would you be down to do this? And so I said yes. And so I knew what it was gonna be, and it was Rue's idea to ask me to do the movie. And so Rue was already on board Rue is like me. It's like you know what job you're in. So when he was on set, he wasn't in charge. He was like, no, Adam's in charge. Like that was,
Yeah, although
it's
some
sort of
people are
like,
not good at that. Some people are not.
some
good at
people are
seeing
not
control.
good at that, but RuPaul certainly is, and was great. Never tried to. Literally was like, where do you want me to be? How to do? Do you want me to do it again? Should I do it different? Blah blah blah. You know, I mean, She wanted to be directed.
I have two dumb quick questions.
Oh.
What the hell's a ghost tunnel?
A haunted tunnel? I don't know. Don't they have those at like theme parks and stuff, like haunted tunnels?
Or I'll take that's okay. I'll believe it.
Yeah, I mean that's why I put the weird corkscrew thing in there and all of that. I don't even know where that came from. I don't remember that being in the original script. I actually don't know how that happened.
And I'm old enough now. I don't remember what my second question.
Well, I
was.
wanted
Go
to
ahead.
ask. Airplane was able to spoof a movie called 0 Hour. Were you spoofing something in particular? Maybe even spoofing Airplane when you were when this was even being
Well,
written?
the original draft of this was drag queens on a plane. And I said to them, I was like, it puts too big a target on all of our bats. It just is Airplane now with drag queens in it. And so I said, but if you put it on a train, I think I can. And they were like, well, what do we do with all the airplane jokes? I said, we keep them. And it still has a control tower, it still has the oxygen mask, it still has being in peril from weather issues. It's like, you know, we had to change, there was originally a joke about how the passengers all got poisoned. That was from Airplane, you know, food poisoning. And so some stupid moment happened, they're like, well, what if a scorpion is loose on the train? And I was like, okay, I guess. And so the scorpion came to be the service scorpion. That did make me giggle when that happened.
So do you think will kids who are probably too young to be watching this but are going to watch it anyway, like you did and I did and he did, and all of us watched stuff we were too young for.
Yeah.
Are they going to do? Okay, now tell it to me, gay. Do you think that's going to catch
God, I
on?
hope so.
Love that.
God, I hope so. I think that was probably the first joke that Connor and Christina wrote. Like they wrote such a tight script, and it was so funny. It's what made everybody sort of say yes to doing it.
And it's
And
the new Don't Call Me Shirley.
it's the new Don't Call Me Shirley. Yeah, I mean, that was an improv. Rachel Bloom doing the lesbian thing,
Great,
the
I
whole
love that.
like that. Yeah, she did that, and then her and Guy Branum actually also did. My favorite joke that literally nobody laughs at is the whole now let's save the train people, and then she goes on to describe people made out of train parts. And it's so dumbfounding to people and so stupid that like literally it's just like Mariah, like a wind blowing through, it's tumbleweeds. And I think it is the funniest fucking thing in the world. Like, and so anyway.
The joke that killed us was no time.
No time.
To explain, how did
explain
you get on the train?
how'd you get on the train?
No time.
Well, we were very like, I was finished making the movie and done, and I got a call from the head of Bleecker Street going like, we love it, we just have one question. And I said, what? They're like, how does the train stop? And I said, now you're asking? Like, I'm done. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Why is there a storm that seems to be traveling across country on the train tracks with the fucking train? And no one seems to be concerned about the towns it's wiping out. You know, and they were
the
like,
train stops in
they're like, why is the train
storm is over.
stopping? And so in post, we had to come up with the idea of ejecting the engine out and dragging it along. But it was like pretty deep along. Like it was only like a month ago that I came up with that. So it's been a ride.
But no time is such a great. That's the one.
No
way
time.
to be the audience where you're
No
like,
time.
That's a wink thing.
And
we know this
Rue-
is silly.
And Rue is so brilliant at it, you know, just like, how did you get on here? No time. Like, it's great. And then my other, just like, the joke that we shot, because it was on the first day, that I was like, I think the movie's gonna work, is when Rue is telling the story of little Johnny Muggins and says to Matt, and Matt's sitting there, and it was just in the script, and he said, now take a seat. And I turned to the writers and I was like, you know, he's already sitting. Like, she's already told him to sit. And they're like, take a seat. They're like, okay, we can I said, wait. No. Let me think about this. And I said to Matt, you're sitting. And Rue just like, be very serious about, take a seat. And Matt not know what to do and just be there for a while. And then sort of try it out. And then when Matt tried it out, Rue just stood up with him. They did it together, and I went, the movie's gonna work. I was like, I think the movie's gonna work.
I think we're almost out of time, but I
Yeah.
just want to say, in success, is this a franchise? Is there more?
I hope so. If there's what, Stop That Submarine?
yes.
Stop That
Yes.
Space Capsule?
Yes.
Let's
If the Sanderson sisters can come
this
back
is
more than
all of
once.
our responsibility to get the word out, to get people to see this movie, to support queer artists so that we can do more, make more things. This was a huge swing for Bleecker. This was not easy to get made, and good on them for doing that. This is very in the World of Wonder brand, but getting movies made before they're bought or anything like this is just a swing. That was crazy. And so the more that we can support that, tell our friends, get the word out there that it's funny, to take 90 minutes and just forget about how fucking disgusting it is out there in the rest of the world right now, and just sit and laugh and take a little time and remember who we are, basically. And because this movie's really sweet, and that we have the ability to laugh together. It's just more valuable than people give it credit for, because we don't do it enough.
And people with one enormous nipple really need to be represented on screen.
We don't know that only one was enormous. We didn't see the other
That
one.
was a lot of nipple for.
I've talked with
just
Missy a
like-
lot about that, but that's for another time.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Please give it up for Scott.